Hey everybody, welcome to Fatso Radio. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? This episode of Fatso Radio and every episode of Fatso Radio is brought to you by Volpe Martial Arts. Folks, Volpe Martial Arts is KW's, that's Kitchener-Waterloo's hottest, newest Kung Fu and Hapkido school. Volpe Martial Arts is led by my brother, Sifu Adam Volpe. He brings you his lifelong passion, lifelong skill, lifelong interest and love and joy of martial arts, and joy of family, and joy of community to you. 5 days a week, I think even 6 days a week, he's there. Check it out, Volpe Martial Arts. Folks, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice, especially when we're talking about vaccines. We're talking about controversial stuff. I'm just telling you what I think, and I'm giving you my advice and my thought process. I'm giving you a couple of reasons today of why I'm not taking the shot, and let me know what you think. I love you all. Peace. Lily, take it away. Fatso Radio.
Fatso, the really great podcast show.
Fatso, our very first podcast show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Fatso Radio. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? This episode of Fatso Radio is brought to you by Volpe Martial Arts. That's right, folks. Volpe Martial Arts is KW's hottest, newest Kung Fu and Hapkido school. Check it out, volpemartialarts.com. All right, folks, episode number 134. My goodness, let me double check here. Make sure it's 134. 133, 134, 133, 134. Yes, 135, folks. Okay, let's get right into it without further delay. Number 135, folks. And what I want to talk about today is specifically the vaccine. I mean, I know it might get flagged, it might get controversial, it might get a YouTube ban or a Facebook ban or a warning, not ban, but a warning, all this up. Okay, I'm not a doctor. Again, great time to remind everybody, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm giving you personal advice, my stories, my experiences, what I've seen. Here's my thought on the vaccine. And again, I want to say this, I've said this before, but I want to say it again. I truly believe this is a personal choice. And for whatever reason you do want to take the vaccine, that's okay. I also think that for whatever reason you don't want to take the vaccine, that's okay as well. And I don't want to stand on this point too long, but I really think that everybody should have that view. And I think that that is the most fairest, honest, truthful view to honestly have, because it really goes down to how would you want to be treated? Do you want to be treated how should you treat other people? And the way you treat other people is the way you'd like to be treated. Would you like to be mandated on things you don't agree with? And the thing is, it doesn't matter what it is, because that idea can change tomorrow. If you believe in whatever, if you believe in antibiotics today, right? But tomorrow you decide not to have antibiotics, and it's mandated that you need to have antibiotics when you have a cold, or you need to have antibiotics when you do whatever the case may be. The reason why these mandates aren't in place is because we have medical freedom. Before this, we had medical freedom, and this is a big, big test for us. I think this is a big challenge for us, and this is a big fight. So whether you want to or not, if you're vaccinated, and this is something that gets lost oftentimes, people that are against the forced vaccinations are against just that, the forced vaccinations. It doesn't mean they're against the vaccine. Many people I know have the vaccines and they still feel the same way, that they should not be forced. A lot of those people, however, don't feel motivated enough to stand up because they're vaccinated, right? Here's the scenario. Whether you have one vaccine or two vaccines, if you're vaccinated, so I guess two vaccines would be the real honest question. If you have two vaccines right now, you're vaccinated, right? So you're okay to go wherever you need to go, wherever is essential or non-essential, if they call it, you're okay right now. But even if you have two vaccines and then vaccine passport comes in, what if you don't want to do the passport, right? Then what? Then you have to show some other sort of proof. We have to jump through some other sort of hoops, right? What about the freedom idea? What about the idea that you're not forced to do something, and the government shouldn't mandate you to do something? And not only that, the government and people around you shouldn't have that information. It shouldn't be the information of the people at the restaurant or at the store or at the gym, whether you're vaccinated or not. And here's my point. It's because we're finding out, folks, and if you haven't heard this yet, read the news, read all of the news. We're finding out it's hard to say now, but it's really looking like it doesn't really matter whether you're vaccinated or not. And if it doesn't matter whether you're vaccinated or not, then why are these mandates in place? Then they're illogical and they're nonsense. They really are nonsensical and illogical if the vaccines aren't doing what they say they're doing. Remember, the point of a mandate, right? The point of any mandate is to make sure everybody does a certain action, right? And any mandate that makes sense, or any law that makes sense, would have to ensure that that mandate is valid, valuable, and is greater than the risk or greater than the damage that that causes. Now, if vaccines don't work, to my opinion, if they don't work 100% even, why take them? The survival rate is so high that something would have to knock that out of the park for me, would have to make it zero for me in order to take it. Or for some people, for me, it would make more sense, at least, right? Anyway, what I'm getting to is that there are reasons everybody has to whether to take it or not take the vaccine. I have some reasons, and I want to share those reasons with you. Maybe they'll help you. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a specialist, not an immunologist, not a virologist. I'm not a researcher. Most of you are not either, but that doesn't mean that you don't have a brain. Please use your brain. Just because you're not a doctor or researcher doesn't mean you have a brain. Remember, folks, there's a lot of idiots out there in every field. There are idiot researchers, there are idiot doctors, there are idiot plumbers, there are idiot carpenters in every field. There are idiots out there, right? And there are brilliant people in every field. And there are sociopaths and psychopaths in every field. Let's remember that. There's evil in the world. There's people that are interested in power, interested in control, and interested in making sure they have power and control because of money, right? Let's remember, why do people want power and control? So they can control money. Money gives them even more power and more control. And things like this, things like mandates, enforce and ensure money keeps on funneling into one place or many places. Here are 5 reasons why I'm not taking the vaccine. As of right now, I don't have any plans on taking the vaccine, and I've thought about this a long time. I've been thinking about my health for many, many years now, right? And that's another point I want to get into before I even start with my 5 reasons. That is that there are many people out there that have had medical issues, that have had medical dilemmas, medical tragedies, medical dramas, medical ups and downs and tragedies and hard times that they got through. And maybe they got through and they were damaged. Maybe they got through and they're different and they're never the same. Maybe they've had to contemplate their life every day after that. Maybe they have to, when they look at their kids, they have to think what it's like to not be around. So I get it, okay? And many, many, many people out there get it, what it's like to contemplate their life and their death. COVID isn't the first time that any of us have had to think about that. It's certainly not the first time. Maybe it's the first time for some people. It's certainly not the first time for a majority of the people. This happens a lot. People die and it's terrible and we're all terrified of it and we all want to do the best things to keep each other safe and to keep our families safe and to keep society safe. I understand that. Okay, that being said, here are 5 reasons for me. My number 5 reason is I've never really been overly concerned with the yearly cold. I'll be honest with you. I've never been concerned with the flu. I've never been concerned with chest infections or sinus infections. I've never really had sinus infections. I don't think I've ever had the flu, to be honest with you. I've had a cold. I haven't had a cold, a real good cold in probably 4 or 5 years. I've had sniffles maybe once a year in the last 4 or 5 years. I've never had the flu that I can remember. I've never had the flu shot that I can remember. And if I'm not concerned about the flu and I never had the flu shot, for me, this is, even if it's more serious than the flu, which it looks like it is, right? For me, I lump it into the same. I really do, right? I've never been concerned with flu season. I'm not in the age, I'm not in the demographic, I'm not in, I don't think I'm in the categories. I don't have multiple comorbidities that would get me to be worried about the common cold as well, and the common flu or the yearly flu as well. So for number 5, I've never been concerned about the flu or colds, sinus infections, chest infections before. And so for that reason, I'm not concerned right now. Now you may say I'm wrong. You may say, yeah, you never had a chest infection, you never had a sinus infection. Well, you're lucky. Maybe I'm lucky. I don't know. Maybe there's other reasons. Who knows? Number 4, there's a lot of medical procedures. There's a lot of modern medical procedures I just quite honestly don't agree with. And it doesn't mean that I'm poo-pooing medicine. It's not saying that I don't agree with the science, because it's very easy these days to hear someone like me say, well, I don't agree with all the medicine these days, or all of today's medicine. It's very easy to hear someone say that and say, well, holy shit, what are you conspiracy theorist? What are you, a whack job? What are you a quack? You just taking, supplements and vitamins and green tea? No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is that there's a state of overprescribedness. I think a lot of things are overprescribed, a lot of drugs are overprescribed, a lot of treatments are overprescribed, a lot of procedures are done, a lot of surgeries, perhaps, maybe not a lot, but there are surgeries that are done. There are procedures that happen, and drugs, and a lot, for the most part, medicine. There's a lot of medicine and drugs given that I don't agree with, right? So take, for example, I don't like the way mainstream media, or not mainstream media is not good for a lot of reasons, but I don't like the way mainstream medicine, for the most part, deals with some real of our common disabilities, or even common maladies. Diabetes is the first one. Type 2 diabetes. Again, this is not an episode just on type 2 diabetes, but I don't like the way mainstream medicine handles type 2 diabetes. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that they give people insulin. I don't like the fact that they encourage people to have many small meals a day, which is going to raise your insulin throughout the day, keep it raised. Raise your blood sugar throughout the day, which would normally raise your insulin, but because you can't produce as much insulin, or your insulin is as ineffective or less effective than someone without type 2 diabetes, you now need more insulin. So you're going to be eating more often, taking more insulin a day. That's more drugs, that's more inflammation, there's more back and forth, and it's not good. Quite honestly, and quite simply, yet difficult, you can reverse type 2 diabetes by changing your diet. If you don't know how, if you're not sure how, just Google it. Reverse type 2 diabetes by cutting out carbs. Going low carb, going keto, carnivore, that works. And to that point, number 4, like, I've lost over 100 pounds by not listening to mainstream medicine. I felt better now by not listening to mainstream medicine. And quite honestly, if I had a heart issue, if I was having a heart issue years ago, and I can't even say that, but I would hope that I would have been lucky enough to find keto, find carnivore if I would have had a heart issue. And I don't, thankfully, knock on wood. But I really don't believe that even vitamins are necessary. I really don't. I don't believe that any vitamins are necessary. I don't believe that you need any extra minerals other than the minerals that you get from a whole food diet. When I mean a whole food diet, I mean a natural, unprocessed diet, which is going to contain animal foods. It really is. In my opinion, you need nutrient-dense food, you need good water, and you need salt. Nutrient-dense food, in my opinion, comes from animal products. Animals and animal products, nose to tail, you get everything you need. If you don't get enough salt, you need to add salt. That's the only thing you need to add to an animal-based diet. That's my honest opinion. Number 3, my third reason why I'm not getting this is that I've had cancer, and I currently have cancer. Now, that doesn't mean that I know everything about cancer. It doesn't mean I know anything about cancer. All it means is that I know a little bit about my body and cancer, and only to the best of my knowledge, right? There are things going on inside our bodies that we'll never know about, we'll never be able to find out about, because quite simply, they're just invisible processes going on. Okay, so I've had cancer and I still have cancer. Statistically, I have a lowered immune system, right? However, I don't think that's actually the case, because I am quite healthy and I think I have a very robust immune system. Quite frankly, I just don't get sick that often. So I think that's part of it. And I'm outside all the time, right? I'm walking outside, I'm delivering the mail, I'm out in the public, I'm seeing people, all this stuff. So I don't think I have a weakened immune system. And also, statistically, I probably have a higher chance of having an adverse reaction to a vaccine or to any drug, or especially any experimental drug, right? When they say, let's remember too, when they do this testing, they test it on 100 people or 1,000 people or 100,000 people. And sure, they're testing on people and maybe the average sample size, but they're not testing people with diagnosed autoimmune issues. They're not testing on people with diagnosed cancer. They don't really know how this stuff reacts. You don't really know. And if I feel like I've had success, and if I feel like I've righted or corrected my path, or even if I didn't do anything wrong, but even if I feel like I'm doing something right to protect myself without cancer, or so without any drugs or anything, that's what I think. I really do. And I really honestly believe, I don't even agree with most of the treatments for even cancer, to be honest with you. I don't think that radiation is good for us. I don't think that chemo is good for us. Chemo is very, very hard on people. My understanding is that chemo and radiation is what actually does the most damage, right? And if you're staying healthy, you're keeping weight on, you're keeping muscle mass on, and you're living good, I honestly don't think you have to worry, or not to worry, but I don't think that, again, chemo and radiation, I don't think that they're the optimal solution, but I do understand that people do have to do it. I've been lucky, but also I've chosen not to go those routes, even the route of surgery for cancer, right? When I found out I had a little spot of thyroid cancer the second time now, the first thing I want to do is cut it out again. And I'm like, wait a second. I've changed my whole life. I've changed my whole diet, my nutrition, everything I've changed now. And I'm going to monitor this. And now 5 years, 1, 2, 3 years later now, and they're not even suggesting surgery anymore. So that for me tells me that they don't know everything. We certainly know everything about cancer, and cancer's been around for a hell of a long time, folks. And the cancer treatments have been around for a hell of a long time. Something like keto has been around for a hell of a long time. Carnivore has been around for millions of years. We just haven't studied it. We haven't put the pieces together, and we're starting to. All this is contributing to why I'm doing this again. Number 2, I have fought cancer, and I continue to fight cancer on this diet. And this is, I guess, part of number 2, but really part of number 3 is part of number 3, but also the main focus of number 2 is going to be nutrition. The diet that I've chose for the last 5 years now, I think is keeping me healthy. So not only have I lost 100 pounds, 120 pounds on this diet, I haven't had a cold in years. I don't have the aches and pains that I used to have. I'm like I said, I'm just not sick. My body's not broken. I can have a physical job. I can get up and around. And sure, maybe the weight loss helped, and it absolutely did help. But all that works together. My body is healthy because of that, and healthier because of that. And I just think that all you have to do is remove. Sounds easy. All you have to do is remove sugars, refined carbs, and vegetable seed oils, and that's what I think you need to do. And you need a diet that promotes health, and a diet that promotes repair. You need protein, you need good fats, and animal source protein is the best. Animal source food is the best, in my opinion. Lastly, the vaccine, the last reason why I'm not getting it, this may be the biggest reason, quite honestly. I'm not sure where these rank sometimes because they go back and forth, but the vaccine simply doesn't seem to be working. It doesn't seem to be worth it on the risk versus benefit, right? Or the benefit versus side effect, or the benefit versus even no effect at all. If there was no effect and possibly not a chance of a side effect, of course, it would be a 100% safe, not only safe, but there'd be no chance of getting hurt. Sure. But that's not the case, folks. That's not the case at all. Not only that, it's turning out that people that are getting the vaccine, 1 or 2, or even a booster, are still getting COVID and are still transmitting COVID, are still getting sick, and they're still dying. You know, a little while ago, it was easy to paint the narrative of, a little while ago, even a month ago or 2 months ago, it was very easy to paint this narrative in this picture that it was a pandemic now of the unvaccinated, sorry. It's not a pandemic of the unvaccinated now. And questionably now, is it even a pandemic? I don't know. I know they're reporting a lot of numbers, and I know a lot of people are still sick, and I know a lot of people are dying, but nobody knows why, right? Other than the official numbers, of course, right? But nobody else, no regular Joe Blow, me, you, anybody knows really what's going on. So we're trying to use our best judgment. We're trying to use our best, our common sense, and it's scary. And I get it, folks. So again, I'm not shitting on anybody for getting it, although I do have some personal feelings of it, right? Like my personal opinion is that if you're healthy and if you've gotten through other illnesses like a flu, I think you'll be fine. Doesn't mean you shouldn't get it. And it doesn't mean that I'm giving you prescription. Like I'm not saying this is what you should do. However, I think that could work. There are people that are 80 years old that are getting this. There are people that are 70 years old, 60 years old, 50 years old. A lot of them are recovering. Most of them are recovering. That's just the bottom line, folks. Here's another statistic. They say that it improves being double vaccinated improves your chance of survival 27 times. Now, you have to understand that if you have a 99.99, or sorry, if you have a point chance of, 99.991 chance of surviving with the double vaccine, right? But you have, I forget the math now. Basically, I think it's like you have a 0.001 chance or 0.0027 chance. Like it makes it sound really bad, and it makes it sound really worse that there's 27 times chance of getting infected. But when you're looking at these small numbers, it's still 99% or still a 99 point whatever that you won't get it. So you're splitting hairs at the point of 100th of a chance or 1,000th of a chance, when that, I think that is getting caught up. I think that is getting people caught up in the weeds. I really do. So, and another one on freedom, right? Let's talk about that. People do all kinds of crazy shit on an everyday basis. They really do. They eat whatever they want. They do whatever they want. They put whatever they want on their body for the most part. Many, many unhealthy things are done every single day. Their mental health and their physical health is up to their own devices, right? The government usually doesn't give a damn, usually. Please don't let the government tell you what to do. And I guess in closing, I just want to let you know, or I want to encourage you, please don't let the government tell you that you know better than yourself. When you do know better than yourself, I'm not saying that you're a doctor. I'm not saying that you know better medically with all aspects, but common sense and freedom. Remember, folks, I hope you don't want a segregated society. This is the vaccine passports and the mandatory vaccines and the repercussions of not having vaccines if a mandatory vaccine policy is implemented. Those repercussions are not, they're not conducive. They don't align with a free society. If I'm double vaxxed and I can go into your corner store, but the guy beside me is not vaxxed and he can't go in that corner store, and that's blatant discrimination based off of medical discrimination, that's unethical. That's against human rights. That's not allowed. Not only that, what if you're that business owner? What if you're the owner of a Circle K or a small mom and pop shop, whether it's a restaurant or whether a convenience store or whatever we want to call it, let's call it a non-essential shop. You're not vaccinated and you don't want to be vaccinated, okay? For whatever reason. But you're forced to now have a vaccination policy. And now you're forced to make your customers be vaccinated, but you're not vaccinated? This doesn't make sense. These policies weren't thought out. Not only that, you're not vaccinated and you can run your store. Great. Your customers are vaccinated, right? What happens when that customer, one of those customers, gets you infected? Is it your fault because you weren't vaccinated? What about when you get your customer infected? Was it your fault because you transmitted to them? If every scenario turns out to be blaming the unvaccinated person, it's not the unvaccinated person's problem. It's the problem. We have created a problem where the only solution is total control. And that is absolutely ridiculous. There should never be a solution where the only solution is total compliance. Like, let's remember too, folks, that if these aren't working and if double vaccinated people are still getting COVID and unvaccinated people are getting COVID and single shot vaccinated people are getting COVID, right? And people with 2 shots and a booster are still getting COVID. What does that mean? That means that everybody can get COVID, right? Okay. What does it also mean? That the hospitals aren't full and people aren't dying in the streets? That means that herd immunity is kicking in, folks. This has been around for almost 2 years now. Arguably, it's been around for 2 years. And 100% vaccination was never the goal. And if you think that's the goal, you've been sold, you've been fooled, and you are victim to them moving the goalposts. They have moved the goalposts many, many times. 2 weeks to flatten the curve, social isolation just for a little bit, a couple shots and we'll be out of the curve, a couple more months, we'll be out of it, this. They never said 100% vaccination was a goal. They said herd immunity was a goal. If they reached 70% was a goal first, then they said 80%. What is it now? It turns out, folks, herd immunity, I believe, if they ever did mass testing for antibodies, they'd find out that a lot of people had antibodies. And that's what herd immunity is. We're going to get it. We're going to live with it. This virus is not going away. If anybody ever tells you, let's do this just so we can kill the virus, you tell them this virus is not going away. The flu is not going away. The cold doesn't go away. Respiratory diseases are among the most difficult to go away, but they also among the least serious viruses out there. They're transmissible and they're less serious, right? Remember, the more deadly a virus is, the more deadly it is, the less chance it is to be transmitted and spread, really, because if you're so infected and you're so sick that it's going to kill you, you really don't have a chance to spread that. Remember that. I'm not comparing this to deadly viruses that kill, much quicker, but I am saying, let's look at this with a grain of salt. Salt, water, and meat. Remember, folks, that's my talk for today. I don't even know what else to say. There's been so much discussion around this. So many people are putting posts on Facebook saying, if you don't want to wear, and there's another discussion too. There's so many things that are being conflated and being mixed in and muddied the water. I'm seeing one post saying, if you're not good with wearing a mask, what about all this? Like, who's even complaining about wearing a mask anymore? It's 2 years later. Holy shit, I've worn a mask. I don't even care. It's nonsense if you're outside, but people still do it. Great. It's nonsense if you're still double vaccinated and you're wearing a mask and you want other people to wear a mask. Again, let's start questioning, what are masks doing? What are vaccines doing? Not only that, if someone doesn't want a vaccine, what do you think the option? What's your opinion? I want to know. What's your opinion? If someone doesn't want a vaccine, what's a reasonable precaution that they should take to participate in society? And let's just be smart about it. What's the precaution they should take to be lucky enough to participate in your society, right? We can't draw the line at only vaccinated people. What if we draw the line at people that smoke? What if I say, hey, you smoke? No. You can't even you can't even come to my restaurant. I don't care if you're not smoking right now. You are a smoker? Do we need smoking passports? Smoking is contagious, right? Habits are contagious. Secondhand smoke is dangerous, arguably more dangerous. It's known to cause cancer, virtually makes all health issues worse when you're a smoker. What about drinking? What about alcoholics? We know how dangerous being an alcoholic is, how dangerous it is to get off alcohol. It's life-threatening. We don't make alcoholics carry around cards. We don't do that for people with hepatitis. We don't do that for people with HIV. We don't do that for sex offenders, which we should, right? Big flags right above their head. I would be okay with that, right? But no, we don't do that. Why? Because people's privacy is more important. It's more important. Remember, people's privacy is more important than somebody who just murdered somebody or abused somebody or raped somebody, right? Or molested a child. Their privacy. We live in a society, folks. I'm not bashing on the society. I'm just pointing out we live in a society where their identity is none of your business. Really? But the identity and the status of my medical status, whether I had a shot or not, is your business. Is it also your business if you have a store and I have cancer? Am I supposed to tell you I have cancer? Am I supposed to tell you if I have a heart attack? What if I die on the spot? Oh my God, there's a social liability, a social responsibility. You would feel bad if someone died on your floor, wouldn't you? I know I'm being crazy with these crazy ideas, but that's how crazy this can get. And one last thing on freedom, folks. One last thing on a segregated society, making people hold signs, hold cards, identification. It's the beginning of a segregated society. This absolutely is like the beginning of Nazi Germany. No, this wasn't how Nazi Germany started. But Nazi Germany didn't end this way. No, it was much, much worse, of course, right? But how do you think you can convince a people to segregate people within their own society by other than lying and telling them that it's for their own safety and for their own protection, right? So if you believe that I need to be vaccinated for your protection, but not only that, I need to be segregated from you for your protection. Here's the question. Where's your responsibility? Where's your responsibility in your health, in your physical health, in your mental health? Where's your responsibility in your family's physical health and your family's mental health? Have we traveled so far along and so far down this road of a nanny state and having big brother and big mother take care of us and look after us, and we don't even know how to look after ourselves anymore? Is that what's happened? Have we drank the Kool-Aid? Have we been under antibiotics for so long? Have we used hand sanitizer for so long? Have we done all this stuff for so long that now people innately know or think, holy shit, I can't do it on my own? I wonder, folks. And I wonder if the people that either don't want to be vaccinated or feel that their choice is the most important thing, I wonder if those people are just a little more confident in taking their own responsibility for their own actions and for their own health. It would be interesting to see some demographics on the unvaccinated and the people who are refusing to be vaccinated. I'd like to see the status of their health. I'd like to see the status of the people that are big into the vaccines. I understand if you're at high risk. I understand if you're high risk. Even if you're low risk, I understand if you want to do it. But it's about forcing someone else that doesn't want to do it. That's what it's about, right? Because if you make it my responsibility to take care of you more so than your own responsibility, then that creates a society where no one's going to do anything because you're waiting for daddy to take care of you. You're waiting for mommy to take care of you. And that's the scare. And that's what the conservatives have been saying, right? And that's the stuff that I grew up listening to, saying, oh my God, is that actually going to happen? That's never going to happen. We're never going to become communist. Oh my God, I know it's an anti-state. I know we got rid of lawn darts. I know every single toy that when I was a child has been taken off the shelf because it's dangerous now, but it's never going to get that bad. Folks, this is the next step. The next step, I think people are so, this is controversial, I'm going to get shit on for this, but I think people are so uncomfortable with their own ability to stay healthy and with their own, I just think people are uncomfortable and they're not used to taking their own responsibility for themselves. And this is, I think, an extension of that. And I hope people don't get offended by that. I'm not blaming anybody for getting sick ever in any sort of illness. I've been sick. I blame myself for me being sick. That's not what I'm doing here. All I'm saying is that I think people's freedom is what matters. Their choice is what matters. And we've always had to live with the choice of your neighbor. We've always had to live with the independent choice, sovereign choice of your neighbor. And never before were we allowed to, never before were we expected to have this social pressure. Not that in my lifetime anyway. And I hope this goes away soon. I hope this goes away very, very soon. I encourage everybody to vote. Please, if you're in Canada, please vote. If you're unvaccinated, vote early. I'll tell you why. Because the rules are going to change very soon. And after, I think, the 13th of September, you won't be allowed to vote in person if you're unvaccinated. So again, election day is September 20th. If you're vaccinated, double vaccinated, vote whenever you want. I still encourage you to vote for a party that's going to think about our freedoms. It's going to think about your personal medical sovereignty to make your own decisions, just like every other medical situation, just like every other time in your life. So I encourage you to vote for someone or vote for a party that's going to do that. I encourage you to vote early. September 10th, September 11th, September 12th, and the 13th. I believe there's 4 days, maybe 3, where you can vote early in Ontario. Vote early. If you're unvaccinated, vote early because they will not let you vote. They will not let you vote in person if you're not double vaxxed. Even if I'm wrong, good, vote early. It's a good idea to vote early. Folks, last thing on voting, there's a lot of talk on voting, whether it's hacking voting or whether it's rigged elections and all this stuff. I don't know, but the bottom line with voting here, this is how I feel. If you vote, you at least have done something. You've at least participated in the process. That's it. Vote. Please don't vote Liberal. It's not a political show, but my other political show is political. Please don't vote Liberal. I don't want 4 more years or 3 more years or 2 more years. I don't want any more months even of this mess with Justin Trudeau. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Fatso Radio. Thank you for your likes, your subscribes, your shares, your comments, all that stuff. Hit the notification bell so you will be notified every Friday when I have a new episode. Thanks for listening, folks. Violet's going to say thanks for listening, and then Lily's going to sing you out with our theme, Fatso Radio. I love you all. Peace. Happy Friday, folks. September 3rd. Wow, happy September. Let's do it. Let's say bye to everybody, and we'll say thanks for listening. Say thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Fatso Radio, the really great podcast show.
Fatso Radio, the really great podcast show.
So get your butt and get in your chair.
Don't eat your nails and don't pull your hair.
We'll talk about chicken or talk about steak.
We'll talk about fat, for goodness sake.
Fatso, the really great podcast show.
Fatso, a very first podcast show.